All right, so today we're going to start, I'm not sure if we'll finish, but we're going to start section 4.1. 4.1 is about historical numeration systems, and in order to talk about this idea, we need to start with what in the world is a numeration system, and that's where we're going to begin. So a mathematical system is made up of three things. The first is the elements that we use in the system. The second one is the operations that allow us to combine elements. And then the third one is the relations that allow us to compare elements to one another. So jot those down. Now we have a numeration system. Okay, numeration as in our number system. What are the numerals in our numeration system? 0 through 9. And I sort of slid right past it, but we actually call our numeration system the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. So if you see that phrase or hear that phrase, it's just talking about our system of numbers. Okay, so Matt said we've got numerals from 0 to 9. Now notice as you're looking at this, how many numerals do we have? There are 10, right? There are 10 numerals. There is not a numeral named 10, however, is there? The numerals for 10 have two of them. They have the number 1 and the number 0. So we do not have a 10 as a numeral in our base 10 numbering system, which is going to be more important as we get toward the end of chapter 4. We're going to list some of our operations and some of our relations. So what are some of the things, operations, ways in which we combine numbers in our numbering system? Addition's one. What else? Subtraction, multiplication, and division. Those are our 4 basic operations. There are others, but those are our 4 that we sort of start out working with when we're in elementary school. What about relations? What are some symbols or some relations that we use to compare elements to one another?
Greater than.
Greater than?
Less than.
Less than? There's a couple others that you guys use all the time.
The equal sign.
You can use equals to, right? And you can also use not equal to. It's another one that you can describe. Make sense? Okay, so those are some of our relations. So this is our system. But what was the section titled here? Historical. So we're going to look back into history at some of the other numeration systems that have preceded ours. Okay? And at least in most of the cases, we're going to talk about maybe why that system didn't stick around. All right? So the first one that we're going to take a look at is the Egyptian numeration system. And I actually brought something. I'll pass it around. You guys may have seen one of these before. You may not have. This is a necklace that I have. It has my name on one side. And contrary to popular belief, my name is not Doctor. Okay, so it's got my first name on one side. The other side actually has Egyptian hieroglyphics for my name. Okay? And as you look at these, I hope you get some sense of being very thankful that the numeration system hieroglyphics that we're about to do aren't as complicated as some of the letter ones that are on my necklace. Okay? So pass that around. But I will also warn you that I'm not a very good artist. So if you want a better version of what the symbols really look like, your book would be a better version than me. All right? But I'll do my best, and I'll ask that you do your best as well when you're doing your work, okay? All right, the first one we're going to take a look at is we're going to look at the value that their symbol represents. We're going to look at their symbol, and then we're going to talk about or have a name for what their symbol would be called. So the first one is the value 1. And the value 1 in their system looks just like ours. Looks like just one old stroke. And that's exactly how we're going to describe it. It is a stroke. Okay. The second one is the value 10. And the value for 10 is an upside down U. That's kind of what it looks like. Or it looks like our intersection symbol that we've seen in the last couple chapters, right? This is described as a heel bone. Okay? Any ideas what the next symbol's value might be? What is? Nope, it's bigger than 10. 100. It's 100. The symbol looks something like this. Almost like a curly 9. It's not quite closed off or something like that. This is actually, the description is a scroll. Can you tell what the values are doing? Went from 1 to 10 to 100. They're adding a 0 on the end, right, visually. They're getting longer each time, yeah. So what's my next value going to be if I continue the pattern? 1,000, right. All right, so the next one is where we start to get a little bit more interesting with our symbols. Okay, so this one looks something like this. It's terrible. Maybe I can try it one more time. I don't promise it's going to get any better. That might be a tad bit better. This is a lotus flower. One of these days when I teach this lesson, I'm going to bring my daughter with me to class because she's a much better artist than I am. This is a lotus flower. All right, what's my next value? 10,000. Yep. This one looks something like this. And the description is that it is a pointing finger. So and use your imagination and kind of tilt your head and squint, and maybe it will look like one. I think it looks almost like a boomerang, maybe. Potentially like a gun pointing downwards, I'm not sure. My pictures are not real good. But if you thought that one was bad, the next one's usually worse. We'll see how I do today. The next value is 100,000, right? Yep. And this one looks something like this. Oh, this is a good day. Man, that was a good fish. This is a burbo fish. And I have taught from other textbooks that we'll sometimes call this a tadpole or a whale. I know, those are vastly different sizes of objects, but scale aside, they have the same sort of a picture, okay? There's one more symbol. What value is it? 1 million. And this symbol looks something like this. What is it? Looks like a person. In fact, its description is that it's an astonished man. And I think he is astonished because he's worth 1 million. It would be, right? If you were 1 million, would you be astonished? I'd be really excited anyway, so I'd probably look like the little guy with my hands in the air. I'd be good with that. All right, so the thing about their system is that it's really convenient. That is to say, it's pretty easy to go in and out of their system, to go from our system to theirs and go from theirs back to ours. Because all we're going to do when we need, for instance, if I wanted to have the number 5 million, is I'm going to draw 5 astonished men. Okay? If I wanted to have the number 6,000, I'm going to draw 6 lotus flowers. Okay? So I'm just going to draw the symbols repeatedly. Do you see why this might not be the best approach? Can you give me a number that maybe you wouldn't want to draw something repeatedly like this? 20 million would be tough. I'd have to draw 20 of these little astonished men, right? Probably not a good plan. What if I had 9,999,999? You wouldn't do the problem, would you? You would say, no, thank you, Dr. Hands. I will take the points and just not get those points today. It becomes lengthy, right? So there are numbers for which this would not be convenient notation. Agreed? All right, so that's kind of one of the inherent problems. What we're going to do next, though, is we're going to take one of their numbers, or 2 of them actually, and you can tell how bad. See, look at those fish. Aren't those terrible? Okay, so we're going to take their numbers and we're going to turn them into ours. One thing you'll notice here is that these are stacked up on top of each other. That's very dependent upon the book that I've seen used. So sometimes the books that I've used will just draw them all beside each other. Others will stack them once they get to more than 3 items. It doesn't matter to me which one you do. Either is fine. On these, however, we're just going to be writing down how much they're worth. Now, I'm going to take one step in front of what we're going to do for our answer. And you don't have to write this down, but just in case anybody's not seeing where we're going with this, I want to show you, make sure everybody's clear. How much is that pointing finger worth? 10,000. How much are the 2 lotus flowers worth? 1,000 each, so they're 2,000. How much are the 2 heel bones worth? 10 each, so for a total of 20. And how about the 3 strokes? 3. Okay, so this is how much each piece is worth, and if we want to write down what the whole thing is worth, we're just going to combine them all together, or sort of adding them, but they're all in their own little place value. So I've got 12,023. And if you flat out jump to the 12,023 by looking at what's on the left, that's fine. That's fine. If it helps you to see a little bit of it written out, write it out. Okay, we're going to do the same thing again. How about 3 of the fish? 300,000. How about the 3 scrolls? That's 300. How about my 4 heel bones? 40. And my 2 strokes? 2. So somebody put it all together and tell me what the total is for number 2. 300,000. 342. Good job. Yes. Oh, thank you. It does look really cool, but are you glad you're not going to draw the bird?
Yeah.
I am, because I don't think I could draw him at all. All right, we're going to do this the other direction now. We're going to take one of our numbers and write it in their form. How in the world am I going to get the 2 in 23,145? 2 pointing fingers. All right, so we can do that, yeah? 2 pointing fingers. How am I going to get the 3? 3 lotus flowers. What's the 1 there going to be? The scroll. I will tell you, one of my pet peeves is people drawing scrolls going the wrong direction. You do not have to be an artist to go the right direction on your scrolls. Okay? Draw them around. They should look like a 9. They should not look like a 6. I get 6s a lot. Don't know why. I do. How about the 4? It's 4 what? Heel bones. If you want to, you can write them 2 on top of 2. Or if you want to, you can write them all beside each other. Either way is fine. So I'm going to write my 4 heel bones like this. How about the 5 at the end? 5 strokes. And, I'm sorry, what was that?
These aren't tally marks, correct?
They look like tally marks, but we're not going to hash them across. That's correct. So they'll look like this, Matt. Yep. Yeah, don't turn this into a tally mark system. That's not what they've got going on. All right, how about...
We don't have to stack them. It's just...
You don't have to stack them. If you want to write 4 heel bones all beside each other and then 5 strokes after that, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Your book tends to stack them, this particular book, but I've had another book that I've taught out of teach this material before, and they didn't do it at all. So, how about the 51,300? How do I get that 5? 5 pointing fingers. And just for fun, let's not stack anything. I won't stack anything this time, just to give you another visual. The 1 is what? 1 lotus flower. And the 3? 3 scrolls, right? Yeah. You just wanted to make the number 9. You're reminding yourself what it looked like. All right. What we're going to do next with this information is we're going to talk about how we add if we're an Egyptian. Okay? So, addition in Egyptian, adding Egyptian numerals, is much like our own addition process. You'll line up the same symbol. We line up the same place value, but we're going to line up the same symbol. And then we're going to carry through regrouping when we need to. And we work from right to left. Okay? Now, write that down, and then I'm going to give you a warning. All right, so the warning has to do with the directions on the next problem. This problem says, add using regrouping as necessary. Convert each answer to Hindu Arabic form. What did it tell you to convert? The answer, right? It does not tell you to convert the original two numbers. Agreed? If you want to check it by converting those original two numbers, that's fine. But if you change the original two numbers into our number system and then you add, that is not what these directions say to do. Are you with me? Okay, so don't change the numbers until the end. But we're going to move from right to left, just like with our number system. We're going to start over here on the far right with the strokes. We're going to count them. How many strokes do you see? 2 on top and 4 on bottom for a total of 6. So my answer is going to have 6 strokes, stacked or not stacked, but there's 6 of them. Next symbol that we see are the heel bones. How many heel bones on top?
4.
And on bottom? 7. So how many heel bones do I have? That's 11. Okay? In our number system, if we got the number 11, we would not write 11 down, would we? No, we would not. What would we do? We'd carry it over to the next place value, whatever our next place value was in our system. And that's what we're going to do here as well. So we're going to group together how many of these?
10.
10 of them. All 10 of these are going to turn into something else. What are they going to turn into? A scroll, right? Yeah, you're drawing the symbol in the air. A scroll. This turns into a scroll. Imagine what's going on here. Somebody gave you 11 $10 bills. Do you really carry 11 $10 bills around in your pocket? Well, you might, but you probably would like it to be done in another way, right? You'd probably take those 11 $10 bills, and what would you do? Turn 10 of them, besides spend them, Tyler, turn 10 of them into what? A $100 bill. And that's what we're doing with this example. We're turning 10 of the heels into a scroll. How many heels are left? 1. So we're going to write down 1 heel. How many scrolls do I now have? 2. And at this point, we are done with the addition problem. That is, we did the adding using regrouping as necessary. And we're ready to convert our answer into the Hindu Arabic form. So what is our answer in our number system form? 216. Good job. Does it make sense? No? What's causing problems for you?
Oh, wait, okay. I just looked at the wrong value. So, yes, I get it. I was thinking 1,000, but I was looking at the flower.
But that's an important thing to realize. So let's say, for instance, that this original problem here did not have a scroll here at all. Okay, so pretend like this scroll's not here. All right, we still would turn the 10 heels into a scroll, right? That orange, that yellowish scroll would still be there, agreed? But if this scroll had instead been, say, a flower, like what you were talking about, you couldn't combine the flower and the scroll to the number 2. So we're only going to combine the symbols that actually are going to match. And if you do have some symbol missing, don't be led astray into writing symbol down that's just the next symbol over, because that is a common mistake. I think the other example I have is going to do something like that. Let's see. Okay, so with subtraction. Subtraction in their system, again, much like ours, lining up as we described before. And in our system, if we don't have enough in one place value, we borrow, right? They're going to do that too. Okay, so let's take a look at one. I'm not sure if it had the feature that I was thinking, but no, it doesn't. All right, taking a look at this, we have our first number with a flower, 5 scrolls, 3 heels, and what is that, 7 strokes? And then we're subtracting 2 scrolls, 7 heels, and 3 strokes. We're starting on the right-hand side just like before, okay? So if I have, on the right-hand side, 7 strokes, and I take 3 strokes away, how many are left? 4. 4. It would help some of you guys to print the notes out so you don't have to write everything down, you know.
Are these on the note?
The symbols might not be on the notes. Yeah, the symbols might not be. How about the next one? I have 3 heels on top and I have 7 on bottom. That's kind of a problem, right? I can't literally take that away. So what do? In fact, I'm going to turn one of those scrolls into what? Heels. How many heels? 10. Okay, again, this is like our money, right? If I needed to take away a $10 bill from something and I didn't have any $10 bills, I could turn my $100 bill that I just didn't spend on whatever into some tens, right? So we're going to turn that scroll into 10 heels. And then we're going to remove some of them. I put slash marks not because this was a tally system. I'm removing the same pieces, okay? That's what's going on here. Right now here, I've got how many heels on top?
13.
I have 13, and I'm going to take away 7. So how many are left? 6. And if it helps you to see the taking them away, you can do that. I'll do it just so that we can see it once. Like I did on the last one. Here's removing the equal pieces. I need 6 of them left. So just for equal opportunity, I'm going to draw this one all in one line. Now what? Well, this scroll is no longer here, so I have 4 minus 2, which leaves me with how many? 2 scrolls, and a lotus flower. And then we're going to be able to write our number for this, and what will it be? 1,264. Any questions on the Egyptians with their addition and subtraction? Okay, we're going to do another numeration system. We're going to talk about the Romans. You guys use Roman numerals. So, in real life, or maybe at least your educational life, where have you seen Roman numerals used? Somebody said it. Say that louder. The Super Bowl, that's one place you see them used. Yeah? Where else? Literature, like? Okay, so like in classic forms of literature. What else?
Clocks.
Clocks. Sometimes you'll see clocks. In fact, the clock tower on top of Rayleigh, right? It's got Roman numerals on there. Where else? Rome. Okay. Names. That's true. I hadn't thought of that one. You're right. So we'll sometimes see them with names. You'll see people. My brother-in-law has a son, named him the same name as himself. Just so you know, that's not entirely creative, I don't think. But whatever. And then they put a 2 on the end of it, right? Kind of like with the names, the second. It's not even a particularly fabulous name. At least have a really good name if you're going to do that to your child. How about outlines? Do you anybody have teachers who teach with outlines and they do Roman numerals? I know I did when I was in college. Along the lines of the Super Bowl idea, sometimes you'll see that with the Olympics. You guys remember seeing that with Olympics ever? Also historic buildings. So if you were to go, like you mentioned Rome, but if you were to go into historic areas, Oklahoma's not especially historic, but if you were to go more East Coast-ish, some buildings will have their established dates on there in Roman numerals as well. Kind of interesting idea. Okay, so there's lots of Roman numerals, and you know some of them. You probably don't know them all. What's the first smallest Roman numeral that you know? A 1. And it will sometimes have, so that it looks like an I. Sometimes it won't, but sometimes you'll see it this way. How much is that worth? It's worth 1. Yeah. Oh, I did. I wrote them in the wrong spot. Thank you. Apologize. Yeah. All right, what's the next smallest value? With a different symbol. 5. We'll get back to the 2 in a minute, but the next symbol has value 5. And it looks like a V, right? And at this point, I'm going to stop writing the hats, the lines on the top and the bottom, but they're there. It just depends on how formal something's written. What's the next value after 5? 10. What does 10 look like? It does look like an X. Again, you can put the lines on top and bottom if you'd like. Okay, so I don't know about you, but that's as far as the outlines ever got when I did outlines in classes. So after that, I don't always remember the next pieces. Does anybody happen to know the next one? 50 is correct. Do you know what it is? It is an L. Good job. Okay, so can you see the pattern of their values? 1, 5, 10, 50. What would be next? It's 100. Good. Do you know what the 100 one is? It's a C, actually. C's next. We're going to get to M eventually. We just aren't there yet. What's next in terms of the value? 500. You got it. 500 is a D. And there's exactly one more symbol for 1,000. And Alice, this is your M for 1,000. And so one of the questions you should be asking yourself is, well, what if it's bigger than 1,000? Right? Like at least the Egyptians had a symbol that let us go a little bit bigger than this, right? We could go up to 1,000,000 anyway with their symbols, and as long as I didn't have to write 20 million, I kind of was okay. But this one stops at 1,000, which is not incredibly large. For dates, for outlines, for books, for names, I'm okay with this. But what if we were talking about something much larger? You could, but they wouldn't have. So let me show you what they would have done. All right, so the first thing that they will do is some of what the Egyptians did. They're going to do repeating of symbols. So if we have the number 2, we're going to put 2 of the number 1s. Okay? So they're going to do some of that repetition of symbols business. But they've got this other thing going on that's a subtraction feature. Alex, can you put that away for me, please?
I was taking pictures.
You're taking a picture of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to flip back to the other slide, or do you have that one? You got that one. Okay.
I forgot to print them off.
That's fine. All right, so their subtraction feature is something different. None of the other systems that we're going to encounter are going to have this feature. And you know that this happens with some of them. For instance, you know that you do not write the number 4 with 4 eyes. Right?
That's how it is on the clock.
That is how it is on the clock.
Is that wrong?
It is wrong, yes. You write the number 4 how? I in front and then V afterwards. So you see this subtraction feature, and it only occurs in these 3 situations. Okay? If you have an I would go before a V, or an I would go before an X. So if I did I, V, we already, let me use a different color. All right. If I did IV, we already said that's 4. What if I do IX? That's 9, because the X is worth 10. We put the 1 in front of it. We subtract off. This is the number 9. So the kicker is this. We're never going to write a symbol more than 3 times. Right? So if I were to do the number 9, and I were to do it with the other symbols that I have, besides the way that this is written, I could write a V. That'd get me 5 of them, and then I'd have to write 4 I's. I'm not going to write 4 of any symbol like that. That's not going to happen. Okay? So we're not going to repeat something 4 times. So I'm going to write an I and then an X. I can use an X. How much was the X worth again? This is worth 10. How much was an L worth? 50. Good. So if I write X and then L, that's 40. Okay? And how much was a C worth? 100. So if I write an X and then a C, what do I have? That's 90. You're not going to see a number written in a different way. That is to say, we would not see IL written for 49. Right? 50 minus 1. It's not going to happen. Okay, that is not appropriate Roman notation. So the only thing that we can see written in front of an L or a C is an X. Okay, we already did the C. The C was worth 100. How much is the D worth? 500. So if I write a C in front of a D, what do I have? That's 400. And then what's the M worth? That's 1,000. So if I write a C in front of an M, that would be 900. Okay. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tyler.
Will you ever would you XL? Will you have those letters always go in order? You'll never have one letter on this side of the letter and the same letter over here?
No. We will see one that happens like you're describing. That is a possibility. And I think this is what you're saying. In other words, could I have this?
Yeah.
So this obviously is not a good example, but you could have a repeated number later. Yes, we'll see one. That wasn't a good on-the-spot example. But yes, we could have something written in that sort of fashion. That was not a good example of it. But you will see one. I'm not sure if it'll be today or not. Looking at my examples I have coming up. Yeah, it must be in your... Number 10 will have that. There is one example that has that, yeah. Okay, let me get to the other issue that I brought up earlier, the issue of the fact that these numbers are not big enough, or at least potentially not big enough. You know, what happens if I need 1 million and I only have the numbers going up to 1,000? Well, they actually have a way of dealing with that too. The way that they deal with that is they deal with putting bars on top of numbers. Okay, if there's a single bar on top of numbers, it's acting kind of like a parenthesis. Anything that's anything that's under where that bar is going to be multiplied by 1,000. Okay? And if there's 2 bars on something, on top of something, that number is going to be multiplied by 1,000,000. So there's this multiplication feature that allows us to get much larger numbers when and if we should need them. So let me give you one quick example before you head out the door. If you wanted to have the number this, do you know what that is?
5,000.
That's 5,000. And what if I did this? That's 9 million. Now, we can combine items that have the bars on top with items that don't as well. But this allows us to get numbers much larger than the symbols themselves would have allowed. Everybody with me? Excellent.